Welcome. Okay, what we're going to do tonight, we're going to go over some reviews, we're going to read some questions. Please, if you have any questions, go ahead and write them in. Thank you all for attending and for sharing. We're actually starting to grow again, and that's exciting. I appreciate all the support. We've got some exciting things to go over tonight. We're going to be talking about knees. Knees are a real problem. If you don't have problems with knees now, you don't want to have problems with knees in the future. And if you've had injuries in your knee, if you're working on strengthening or improving the quality and health of your knees, we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. That's pretty much what we're going to be dealing with, because they're very important, and we want to keep good health in the knees. If you're in athletics, if you're in any kind of sports, it's important to have good, strong, healthy knees in the front of your knee and laterally, both sides of your knee. And there are very few exercises that really address that. And yet so many of the activities require it. So we'll go over knee health a little bit later as well. And I just wanted to point out, we're getting a lot of people out there that are really harping on how squeaky the Cellerciser is. I haven't done anything to this for months, but I want you to hear how quiet that is. It's a lot of the competition's trying to disparage us. And if you're having any trouble at all, go to our website, give me a call. We can make this very quiet. My unit is built just like everybody else's. So again, I've had some great support from our Cellercise family, and I want to thank all of you for getting in there and helping people not be deceived or conned by some of these other companies. The Cellerciser holds up, it works, it's got plenty of resistance, it has movement, it doesn't stretch out, it gives you great support. That's enough said about the Cellerciser. Many of you know it, and I want to thank you again for getting the word out, because it does make a difference. I talk to people every week that are grateful that they receive a comment for someone like you who has helped set them straight on the Cellerciser. And you know, the whole objective, as good as this is, and it is, it's a great unit. It's going to be around for decades. The whole purpose of what we're doing is to help you get results. It's not to sell you a product. We're not just a product-oriented company. We're a people-oriented company. We want you to get the benefits of Cellercise. So if you're having any challenges or issues, give me a call. You know, there might be different approaches, things that we can do to change, but I want you to get results. All of my support materials that we're doing are designed to help you achieve those results. So let's go over some of the reviews and write some questions. Justice is in the background here. He's ready to help answer those. I asked him to find some jokes, but we didn't find any tonight. So we'll get some jokes. We want to make it fun for you too. All right, Josie writes, I just got one for Christmas. Last night my parents bought one too, due to how much I have benefited in just 2 weeks. Thank you. I am very overweight, so I am going gentle, but already I have noticed these benefits in just 2 weeks. I can go up and down the stairs easier. I am walking a bit quicker. I feel more aligned. I am walking more evenly on my feet instead of how I did before, which was rolling outward, opposite of pronation. And my back pain is better already. I don't feel I am one wrong move from throwing my back out. I feel my core strength improving as I always gently engage my abs while bouncing. The first few days my abs were sore and it felt like I had done sit-ups. I just do 3 minutes health bounce every morning, and then I have worked my way up from 5 minutes to 8 minutes in the evening. I alternate health bounce with other beginning moves like the hip rock and the hip twist. I am so hopeful. My commitment is this routine every day for 1 year, from 12/26/24 to 12/26/25. I love it. Thank you, David. Thank you, Josie. And you know, you've heard me say before, why work out when you can play in? If you can incorporate Cellercise into something you already like to do, we like to watch a show. So we'll turn on a show during the day. We'll have the Mr. Rebounder app either on our phone, we've got a phone holder here, or on an iPad, and we'll watch the show, and it will ding in between each movement, and we look at the next movement, watch the show. The time flies by. We're enjoying it, but we're getting all the benefits from it. Carla writes, I have been recovering from the flu for almost 3 weeks. I was so lightheaded with no energy. Today I was feeling so much leathier, but I forced myself to baby bounce on my Cellerciser, and I bounced for 15 minutes. I think she meant lethargy. Spell check, I'm sure. Afterwards, I drank water, and in 30 minutes, I felt completely energized and stable. I couldn't believe it. I've gotten back on twice more today. I've experienced 180 degree in my strength and overall wellness. Wow. Wow, Carla. Thank you, and thank you for sharing that. I'm reminded, and I think I talked about it last time, but it's worth talking about again, is Rachel, one of our customers, and we've got Sally and Stephanie, and they're fantastic too. But Rachel was, she's an influencer, and when she's promoting products, then, you know, she's got a vested interest in making sure that, you know, people understand the value of the product. Well, she got the Cellerciser, used it for a few months, and then calls me up and says, David, this thing's incredible. And I said, I know. She said, no, it really is incredible. And you can visualize how she's wanting to help the public understand the value of something. And she's telling me, it really is, it's incredible. And I said, tell me your story. And that's when she said, all I do is get on it and I just do the baby bounce. I watch a show for 30 minutes. Now you can baby bounce, you can tighten while you're doing it. Tighten your arms, tighten your shoulders, tighten your chest, buttocks, you know, as you're just an isometric with an isotonic, more weight. And she said, in just 3 months, she's got muscles popping out, toning up, losing weight, feeling great. And she says, I'm not doing anything. I said, yes, you are. You're increasing the weight to every cell membrane, and you have resistance against that cell membrane. So it's going to afford it, but they're going to get stronger, but it's every muscle. You're not just lifting weight away from gravity, you're increasing the weight of gravity. That's why Cellercise is so effective and so efficient and so it's something I think everybody needs to do. So I thank you, Carla, and again, I thank you, Rachel. Linda writes, love these videos, so informative and so helpful for a beginner Cellerciser at 62. You're a young one. I started off too hard and had to start over again. I love the Cellerciser and wasn't going to quit because it's the best thing that's come into my life for someone who hated exercise. Today's video was very timely and so thankful for your knowledge and care. I'll be sharing this Cellerciser. Love. And thank you, Linda. And thank you for sharing. It's so nice when we're able to make a difference in somebody else's life. That's exciting. Kathy writes, the thing that is easy to miss is that the body responds so quickly to improved lifestyle, nutrition, sleep, exercise. Now that I'm older, I am thrilled to have my Cellerciser in the middle of the living room to hop on anytime, day or night. Thank you for this video and your enthusiasm. I also can't imagine how a lesser unit can be as much fun. And thank you, Kathy. I appreciate that. The neat thing about the Cellercisers, it doesn't stretch out, and your mat's not causing your feet to pronate, because after a while that can become quite painful. Carrie writes, I had to take a moment to express just how much I love getting on my Cellerciser. I've committed to 30 minutes 1 to 2 times daily, and it feels amazing. My hubby even commented that my legs look more toned. This has changed my attitude about exercise, and it's the first time I can honestly say exercise is a blast. And again, we don't need to exercise. We can play in instead of work out. I'm reminded of my father-in-law when I first met Crystal, and we were dating. And, you know, I was talking about Cellercise, and, you know, they didn't believe it could really do everything that it was doing. But they thought I was a good salesperson. And then, but he got one. So my father-in-law got a Cellerciser and he started to use it. And his wife roll over once and Carolyn, and put her hand, it just bumped up against his thigh. And she thought immediately, who is this? Because it had made such a big difference in his life. He became a big proponent and a big believer in it as well. Until you do it, until you experience it, it's kind of hard to know. But you know, so thank you, Carrie. Thanks for sharing that. Michelle writes, I was skeptical about whether or not I would actually use it after the newness wore off. Good thing. I've been doing it 35 years. It hasn't worn off to me yet. But she says, I love my Cellerciser, exclamation point. I have not lost a lot of weight but I have definitely toned up. Remember, muscle weighs more than fat, so that's good. My posture is better since my core is stronger and I have more muscle in my arms than I did when I was lifting weights. Who did we have? Somebody called up today and that was saying the same thing about how they're not lifting weights anymore. They don't have to go to the health club. They're doing it all on the Cellerciser. Says, oh, yeah. I remembered it was a guy who just shared it with another person who told me what the first person had said about how he just uses the Cellerciser and he's got muscles all over, and he ended up telling his friend about it. His friend bought the Cellerciser, and the one guy had been exercising on a typical rebounder, and his knees were hurting him and his back was hurting him, and then he saw our video about how important it is to have good support under the feet, and he immediately bought the Cellerciser. So that was neat. Rocky writes, I've had my unit since May of 2024. Tried doing 30 minutes 4 to 5 times a week. This weekend I fell and I literally bounced. I twisted my knee, but it's already recovered. Incredible. I owe it to my Cellerciser. I'm sure it would have been worse had I not been Cellercising. Boy, Rocky, I can relate to that. We want to maintain good flexibility and circulation in all the ligaments and the tendons and the muscles. And Patricia writes, thank you, Dave, for all you do for your Cellercise family. We enjoy watching your YouTube videos. In fact, the most recent about the importance of the health bounce was uplifting and reaffirming that we are doing the right thing. At 74 and 78, we have been Cellercising a few years now and proudly own a bifold and a trifold, which we take traveling. Our 3 adult children were gifted Cellercisers this last year, and several of our friends have purchased one. Like your experience, a friend saw us at the grocery store and commented how great we looked. After we excitedly told her about the Cellerciser, she got one. We can't share this good news enough. At church, at restaurants, anywhere we get the opportunity. We want everyone to have the chance to improve their health and well-being. There aren't enough ways to say thanks. God bless you. Patricia, thank you. You know, I'd like to do more. I want more people to recognize and benefit from the Cellerciser. I welcome your thoughts and your ideas. If there's anything we can do to get the word out more effectively, if you know people that are interested in working with us, that'd be great. I just talked to another marketing company. I'm going to be doing some work tomorrow at explaining what our overall goal and objective is, and they're always asking me, what's your target market? And I'm always thinking about that because I don't want to limit the market. I truly believe everybody at all ages will benefit on this Cellerciser. The balance, the circulation, the reduction of inflammation, the pumping of the lymphatic system, improving of balance as well as strength. I think everybody needs it. We're all under a lot of stress and distress today because of environment, both internally and externally. And Cellercise can go a long way in helping to restore balance, I think physically and chemically. So when I think of who my target audience, I think more of it, every single house. Every house needs a Cellerciser. And if I could get every house on the to use the Cellerciser, kids could use it before they go to school, if they get a cold or they have an allergy, or if you have stiffness or you're dealing with other issues. There's so many different ways that we can utilize the Cellerciser. So My challenge is helping the people know in the marketing companies know that every home needs one. They just don't know it yet. But that's my job, is to help get that message, and all of our job, to help get that message out. So, Mary writes, I am noticing pain in my left arm, like a muscle pain. Is it perhaps that my left arm is weaker than my dominant right? Noticing pain in your left arm. Need a little more information, feel free to give me a call on Monday so I can get that. But Cellercise does create balance. You're not favoring one muscle group over the other. So if your arms are stronger on one side than the other side, but you're putting the same amount of weight on both sides, it helps to create balance over time. And that balance can be helpful. But there's a number of things we can do to help with arm health and stretching and doing movements where we hold a position and gently bounce to get that flexibility in the arm as well. Just there's lots of different movements we can do, and you've seen me do them, and all of those are on the Mr. Rebounder app, so that we can target the arms to help create that balance. But Chris writes, would you happen to have any recommendations? Okay, I didn't look this one up. Costochondritis while on the Cellerciser. How about for thyroid issues, specifically hypothyroidism and weight gain? Thanks so much. Well, we know that people who have been on thyroid medication who started to Cellercise have had to cut back on their thyroid medication. We know that the movement up and down is taking all of the internal organs and subjecting them to weightlessness, weight, weightlessness, weight. So they're expanding and contracting, which we don't get in our normal day-to-day activity. So as we're getting that pumping action, we can help stimulate and improve circulation of these internal organs, and then we can do additional things, that massaging while we're bouncing to move fluid and create the pressure changes to help increase that circulation. So those things can be very helpful too. Can rebounding help with the bunion toe? It can. You can also get those little, they're like inserts you put in between your toes, and they help to reposition the toes so that they hold them in place while you're bouncing up and down. And that over time can also help to better align the toes. You can find those on Amazon, and we've had a number of people use those. Patty writes, I have a bifold Cellerciser without a handle. I bought a Newan handle on Amazon. It rattles when I rebound. If I was to order a Cellerciser handle, would it still rattle? Well, it's nice to know there are other units out there that have that. Well, yeah, it can be louder at times. I think it's because it's on carpet. It just helps keep it quiet. But you do want movement. In fact, let's address that, because I get that a lot. People say, oh, how cheap, the balance bar is loose. Have we talked about this recently? Okay, well, we want that. We want it loose. I don't want you to become dependent on a bar because it's rigid. I want you to pull the bar towards you when you need it, then it's rigid. But as you get better and your balance gets better, your hand will just be on top of it. And your dynamic balance is working. And we want dynamic balance, not static balance, to improve. Static balance is when you're dependent upon something rigid for your balance. Dynamic balance is when you're using your brain activity, nervous system, proprioception, and muscles all over your body. And so I think we've talked about it and I talk about it all day long on the phone. If you were as a child, if you were to get on a fence post and you're walking across the railing and you're balancing yourself like this, that's dynamic balance. That's what we want. We want good, strong, dynamic balance. If you were to get on that same fence post, you're going to walk across the railing, but you grab a pole. You're holding on the pole while you scoot across the railing. You're not using any dynamic balance. You're now using the pole for your balance. Well, that's not going to help you in your normal day-to-day activities. Cellercise is more like standing on the fence post. You're walking across the railing, you grab a willow branch. The willow branch moves, but your ability to negotiate your balance improves dramatically by holding on to that willow branch. The Cellerciser has all the properties. So If you need it to be rigid, pull it toward you. It's rigid. It's like a pole. That's okay. But without you even knowing it, as your balance gets better, your hand is just on it. And you're using more your dynamic balance. You're not as dependent upon the pole. And that dynamic balance is what helps you in your movements on a day-to-day basis. That's what we want. That's why we designed it that way. Okay. Wandela writes, back in the 1970s, haha, yeah, I remember that time, we were taught that aerobic exercise should last a minimum of 12 minutes at your target heart rate for your age. On the Cellerciser, does it take less time for a truly effective aerobic workout? Thanks. Now, back in the 70s, I remember when they were talking about doing 20 minutes of aerobics. And like our cells have watches. I don't think 20 minutes means anything to a cell. But it's a great way to sell tennis shoes. It wears out the shoes. In reality, all we need to do is challenge the cells beyond their current capacity, and they're going to adapt to the challenge that we give them. Whether we do that in 5, 10, 15, or 20 minutes does not matter to a cell. There's other things that occur if you do it for sustained periods of time. There's other things that occur when you do it more intense. Both of them work. They work a little differently, but they're both beneficial. So as far as heart rate and things like that, that's the way that they stress the heart, to get the heart pumping harder so that they could measure its effect, and so it would get stronger. Well, anytime you put a muscle under weight over and over, it's going to get stronger. What does that do with a Cellerciser? It's all weight bearing. What is the heart? It's a muscle. When you put weight on a heart muscle over and over, the heart starts to get stronger just like every other muscle would, because the cell membrane has resistance or weight against the cell, and the cell is going to respond by fortifying its membrane with more protein. Doesn't care where the weight comes from. Cellercise is weight bearing on everything, but it's also making it easier on the heart. So it's pumping with the heart. So many people that have heart issues can talk to their cardiologist and find that they can Cellercise without the problems that they might have through other exercise modalities. And I'm more than happy to consult with your doctor. If you have a health condition, consult with your doctor. I'm more, like I said, more than happy to also share some of the different approaches we can take on the Cellerciser with your doctor. Is rebounding safe for 2 lower back spinal surgeries? Again, I don't know your particular condition, so it's important to consult with your doctor or health practitioner. But what I can say is there's less jarring on a Cellerciser walking or just rocking side to side to help loosen up the lower lumbar, you're pushing down into the mat, than there is walking on the ground. And the movement just up and down can help open up vertebral joints, increasing more circulation to the discs. So again, I don't know your particular situation, but I know generally speaking, the Cellerciser can be very, very beneficial for people that have back issues that they're working with. I find that my ankles, especially my left one, tires out easily when I bounce. I'd love suggestions on how to strengthen my ankles to use my rebounder more effectively. Sounds like you are doing just fine. When you Cellercise and you're lifting your heels up and down, it's going to help expose weaknesses. The moving up and down, as you move up and down, you are working the calf muscles, the ankles, the arches of your feet, muscles, bones, ligaments, tendons are going to start to move. You may feel that for a while. That's okay. It's very gentle and it's very, very helpful. Just make sure that you're holding your feet and your knees so that they're not, if you have a natural tendency to pronate, you want to have the knees going up and down like this instead of like this. And that's going to help too. Sandra writes, best moves to reduce belly fat. I also have one calf muscle that is slightly smaller than the other. How can I build it back up? That's a good question. It may not need to be. Muscles can, especially in the, I can show you, I get the same thing. My calf muscle here on my right leg is a little bigger than the calf muscle on the left leg. But I think they're the same strength because you're putting weight on them at the same time. So depending on how our history of how we've torn muscles or developed muscles or strengthened muscles at a period of time, our muscles may look a little bigger, but not necessarily be all that much stronger than the muscle on the other side. The density can be the same. And Cellercise is known to create balance because the muscles do get stronger. And as long as you keep doing it and you're bouncing up and down, it's equal. This is one of the ways that we are helping golfers or tennis players or baseball players that have back issues, because they have a tendency to have one group of muscles stronger than the other side. But when we Cellercise and we move up and down and we're doing it, that little twist and gently moving up and down, it helps create balance through the whole body. So it helps to loosen the muscles that are tighter and strengthen the muscles that are looser. Yes, Jessis? With
bulging discs and sclerosis, is it safe to Cellercise just bounce?
Scoliosis? Yeah. Is it safe to what?
Is it safe to Cellercise or just bounce?
Yeah, and again, there's this safer on the Cellercise than running on the ground. So you don't have the jarring impact. You eliminate up to 7/8 of it, but there may be different approaches that we can take on the Cellerciser that can help. So yeah, many people, I can't say for you specifically, but you check again with your doctor. But there's ways that we can approach it, especially if we do have scoliosis, taking our elbows, sticking it up over our head, leaning, opening up the vertebral joints on the right side of the back. When we feel the stretch, stop, hold the position, gently bounce, open up, increase circulation. Do the same thing on the other side. You know, the side that you have a little more curvature, maybe a little tighter, and we do a little gentle movement side to side. We're working to create balance in the body. Yes?
And then SP Jake says, my feet started to pronate after 8 months of using the Cellerciser. I can see my big toe on both of the feet, and they point inward.
They're turning inward? That's unique. Are you wearing shoes or socks? What are you wearing on your feet? It's important to be barefoot, soft-soled slippers or socks so that the toes can move to support your natural alignment. I know that people that often wear shoes will notice issues because the foot wants to move and the shoe won't. It's restrictive in its ability to have that movement. So it is important that you have the ability for the foot to move to support your natural alignment without being restricted by some outside force. Okay. Best moves to reduce belly fat. Okay, that was one of her. Okay, so we can't really target reduce. Depending, I call it genetic mapping. Depending on what your genetics are, your body will take from one area and then another area and then another area, and unfortunately we can't choose what that area is. So as we lose weight, we will lose it in different areas of the body based upon genetics. But one of the best ways, I believe, of losing weight is to do aerobic activities that create a greater demand for fuel. And that's, I don't think there's anything more intense than the Jamba walk or the Jamba run, just doing this here. Or doing the Jamba run, you're really working those muscles, and you do repetitions of it. And every time you do, when you're done with the first set, just lift the heels up and down, pump the calf muscle, increase oxygen, more fuel back to the thighs, do it again. You can intersperse that with jogging, and when you're jogging, you want to lift your knees up, just because it works the core. If you're jogging and you tilt backwards a little bit, you leverage your own body weight right in the core. Just tilt a little. I'm coming down with a lot more weight right here, and that's working more of the core muscles. So even though we're still losing weight, we're also working to strengthen the whole abdominal wall area. Pelvic floor exercises, both sitting and standing. Fascia release, please. Fascia release, okay. Moving up and down. The fascia, we have people that have plantar fasciitis, for example, and the fascia has been either damaged or it's real tight, and they Cellercise, and over time, the fascia releases. It starts to become more flexible again. That's just common with many different areas of our body. Yes, Justice?
Sylvia says, Dave, do you have any suggestions which magnesium to add to strengthen muscles? I Cellercise every day for 1 hour.
Good. I don't have one. There's different types of magnesium. I have not done a lot of research on it. There may be some people on Facebook here that would have some that they prefer that they feel is most effective. Magnesium's important, potassium's important, obviously calcium is too. But you want to take the right kinds and in moderation with all things. So, and what was the other question about it? Magnesium, and then she said something else.
It was just magnesium.
Okay, magnesium. Yeah, it's important to have some, to make sure you have it. And yes, there are different types of magnesium, and you can read about them. I've done that before. I just don't recall which ones are going to be more beneficial. I just have a tendency to just grab nutrients now and then, here and there, and then hope that the food that I'm eating, and the live foods especially, have got the minerals, and then I use my solutions, because I know it's a smorgasbord of minerals that you might not otherwise get in your normal day-to-day meals, and that's those are the solutions that are on our website. So okay, pelvic floor. Starting off, sitting down, and with the hands, can they see okay, Justice? With the hands on the mat, you just kind of just gently bounce up and down, kind of support your back. And as you get stronger, you can tilt back a little further. As you get stronger still, you can take away your hands. To bounce, you're really working these muscles here. But by tilting backwards a little bit, you give a little additional support in the that whole pelvic region, so that it's not just straight up and down. If you're doing it straight up and down, you want to tighten the muscles, all the external muscles, and then allow the gentle movement up and down to help strengthen and build up the connective tissue surrounding the internal organs, because it's literally weight bearing from the inside out. So it starts to strengthen, and great for bladder control too. Okay, Halo writes, any tips for knees? I did your beginning workout and now my right knee feels a bit weak and strange. Okay, you probably gave it a good workout. We're going to come back to that. With this injury, they did an MRI. They told me today I have a large Baker cyst behind my knee with extensions. Do you have any recommendations? Just the movement side to side helps to work the knee, the lateral knee, both sides of the knee. The jumping side to side, if you're able to, takes it to the next level. The movement up and down is still going to increase circulation, and then massaging the area. The movement up and down helps move fluid. It helps to massage tissue, and you can also do manipulation with your own hands and fingers. Talk to your body, talk to your cells, thank your body. I believe that, connect with it. See your body is getting better, and thank the body for helping it to heal. As exercise of faith, it's something that's not really understood a lot, but something I think is part of our greater health potential. Okay. Patty writes, do you recommend a certain amount of time a day? I bought a 1-2-fit. I like the idea of quiet. I have never purchased a rebounder before. I didn't realize you sold them. You have said yours is better. I just looked at the price. Do you feel that the 1-2-fit bungee unit will do me any good? Oh, Patty, I wish I could say I thought it would. Bungee cords literally are rubber bands, and every time they warm up, they break down. So as they get softer and softer, we have less and less support. Our feet begin to pronate, and when that happens, we leverage the weight against our ankles, against our knees, hips, and joints, and that can over time cause some real problems. Does rebounding help with bilateral sacroiliitis? Sacroiliitis, that's the sacroiliac, oh gosh. nerve that wraps around is what she's talking about. Rocking side to side helps to loosen those muscles up. And then as we've rocked side to side and we loosen the muscles, then the gentle twist. And then as we become more flexible, then we keep our hips straight ahead and we just work in the hip socket area. And most people that I know have had the sacroiliitis joint, that whole area improves substantially. Okay, so I want to take a few minutes, if there's no more questions, talk a little bit about our Mr. Rebounder app and the knees. So we want to do some knee health. And can they see the screen, Justice? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So if I go to, I'm going to hit down here at the bottom. It says My Workouts. These are some of the workouts that I've created for myself using the Mr. Rebounder app. You can do the same thing. If you want to create a workout, you just go to Create a Workout. You give it a name. Let's say Test.
It's just kind of hard to see just because it's
Is it hard to see? Okay, if there's anything we can do to zoom in, not. Well, hopefully you can see that. There's tests that I wrote up on the top. And then over on the top right, there's a plus sign. If I hit the plus sign, it's going to give me a whole bunch of different movements. 65 different movements here. So I can scroll down the movements. Let's say I want to, we've got all movements here. We got aerobics, we got calisthenics, we got cool down, we got warm up. I noticed one of them was in the wrong place today, but if we're doing a warm up, you're not going to be doing the jumbo run. But you can pick the baby or the health bounce right here. Tells you what it is. It's got a little description here as to what that movement does. And then you just pick the amount of time. So you got a plus sign at the bottom. You start to add the number of seconds that you want to do the movement. And when you get to the number of seconds, you just say add it to the workout. And you say okay. And then if you want to add another movement, I'm going to just put all movements here so I can go through. If I do the, if I want to do the hip rock, just go hip rock intense there. I'm going to add that one. And I'm creating a whole new routine. And I add that to the workout, say okay, and I go on. And so I can continue to add all these different movements and create a whole routine. When I'm done, I go to the back arrow up there in the top left-hand corner. I hit back, and it will show me all the various different movements. I give it a name. At that point, I would come down here after I have all my movements in there. I would hit the save button, and you will have a whole new routine created. I'm not going to save this one, but when you actually go to play your routine, right here you go to My Workouts, and then your My Workouts now, your new routine is going to be there. If you have a routine that you like, and let's say I've got knees, I've got all these knee programs, so if I do knees, this is knee fitness number 2. And I've got all these different movements in this program right here. Goes for, let's see, it goes for 20 minutes. And if I want to go back, if I have this routine and I want to clone, I want to change it up. I want to add something to it. You can go to any one of the routines that are on the Mr. Rebounder app. In the top right-hand corner there, if you can see it, it's right up here. It looks like a square box on top of another square box. That's to duplicate or clone. So I can take this knee fitness number 2, I can hit that button right there. I just cloned everything. Everything is in that. I can give it a new name, like Exercise Fitness 2B. And I can save that as Exercise Fitness 2B, but if I wanted to add something to it, I just go up to the top right-hand corner where it has a plus sign, and I hit add, And then the stand to sit would be a good movement for the knees. So if I go stand to sit and I add that, let's say we're going to do 30 seconds of just standing to sit. So we're going to add that to the workout, hit OK, and then if I go back and save it, I can save it there, but if I want to move it, see, it adds a new movement at the very bottom. And let's say I want that movement somewhere else. So I can put my finger on it and I just drag it up to where I want to put it. So we'll put it right there, save it. Workout created successfully. And now we can start a whole program, and bingo, I've got my own routine. So you can change it up a number of different ways by doing that. Just to let you know also, so if you're going to the program and you go to the beginning, home, you've got over on the top left-hand corner, you've got a male or a female, depending on how you signed up on your settings. If you go to settings, you can pick the default amount of time that you want in between each movement. If you do a movement and it's counting down 6 seconds, you can go to your settings and you can put 1 second or 0 seconds, so you don't have to save that. And that would be in the settings. If you go here again and you want to put in account info, you put in your account info, you put in your name, you put in your email address, birth date, etc. When you put in gender, right now it says male. If I were to put in female, I would have a female icon. If I wanted to put in but you have the edit button. The edit button is in the top right-hand corner. And if I wanted to, I can pick the little space cadet. So if you have grandchildren or a child, you can choose that and save it, submit it, and it will save the little space cadet. So when you go to do your exercise routine, you're doing it with the space cadet. And we have a female and a male space cadet too. So I'm going to just keep it right there. You can change the screen, the background of the screen as well. When you're actually in the program and you want to do a routine, let's say, let's go ahead and pick the knees 4 routine. If you wanted to do that, whoops, let's go back. You can actually change the background image too. So we have, I think, over 30 different background images, depending on what mood you're in. You can just pick any one of these nice images to exercise with. So hopefully that helps you understand just a little bit more. You also can change the workout music. We've got various different types of music that you can add as well, for country, electronic, Latino, pop, rock. Or if you're like us, we start a routine and we mute the music. So if I'm going to one of my workouts, let's say I'm going to the one I just created, which is right here, and I hit start, the music itself normally will come up on the screen. I evidently got it muted right now somehow there. But you have a little mute button over here in the bottom left-hand corner that will mute the music, but it will still ding in between each movement. So for me to do that, I'd have to turn the TV on, turn it back on to get it to communicate. So let's talk about some knee movements that are designed to help strengthen the knees, because that's our whole objective. We're standing here on the Cellerciser, we're warming up the tissue, gently bouncing up and down, and that's going to help pump that circulation and increase flexibility. We need to do that. Warm up the tissue first. Then we spread the feet apart a little bit and we can rock left to right. Now when you're rocking left to right, you don't want the knees like this. You want them pushed out like this. So as you're rocking, you're going to start to really strengthen the whole support mechanism within the hip and the knee. This is fantastic. I see all these knee programs on YouTube, and they're great. I'm glad people are doing them. This gives you a very unique and different advantage than you're going to get with most of those knee movements. Very gentle, very effective, works the lateral knee, all the supporting muscles, ligaments on both sides of the knee. For the front part of the knee, same thing. When we have our feet on the mat and we bend at the knee, we're going to be pushing down. There's a couple ways of doing this. You can push down like this, which is great, or you can bounce like this too. The bouncing like this, when you're doing that, you have your feet on the mat, so you can hold the position of your feet and your knees in the right position the whole time you're moving up and down. So this starts to strengthen these knees, and that's a precursor to the what I call the squats, or the deep knee squats that we'll do in a moment. But that's going to strengthen the whole front part of the knee. Now you can come down a little further if you want. You can do things like this. Nothing wrong with that. This one here just seems to me to build and strengthen this area in the knee a lot more effectively. And you can feel it. You can just bend here and you can feel those knees working. Those knees are what support or those muscles are what and ligaments are what support our knee, our whole structure of that knee. If those muscles and ligaments have been compromised, we're going to get more pressure on the joint, and that over time can wear out the knee. It can take time, and we've seen people that have been able to avoid surgeries, knee surgeries. We've seen people that have had injections put in their knees, and then they start to do this and the pain went away. They didn't need injections anymore. I'm going to tell you my personal story when I tore up my knee, because the movements that I'm teaching right now are the same movements that I did to strengthen my knees. When I was goofing around with my daughter, many of you heard the story, we were doing a yoga movement allegedly, and I was sitting on my feet and I sat all the way back to the ground. She got on top of me and said, "Can you lift me up?" So I started to lift her up, and both my knees popped, and it was painful. You could hear it. Well, for about a month, this knee slowly got better, the right knee. But the left knee, every time I bent it, you would see it pop out of joint. It literally would pop out to the side. And I finally went to the doctor about a month later, and I said, "I think I've dislocated this. Can you put this back in position?" He says, "Don't do that." I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "You need an MRI." So they took me down to get the MRI. They read it that day. And on the MRI, I had torn my meniscus horizontally and vertically. There was no support here. They said, "You need surgery." And while they were reading the x-ray, they said, "Oh, and you have lesions here, here, and here." And I said, "What do you mean lesions?" And they said, "It's where you've torn it before." And I said, "And it healed?" And they said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, why wouldn't this heal?" He said, "At your age, and as bad as this is, no, that's not going to heal." That was his opinion. The body is remarkable when we work with it. What I ended up doing is I got a knee brace, or one of those things from Amazon that I could put around the knee to help hold my knee in position. And then I began Cellercising. And I did the same things I'm showing you right now. Started off with a baby bounce. That's about all I could do. Eventually I got to the point where I had the brace on and I was able to rock side to side, gave a little additional support. We can do the same thing with our ankles if we're having ankle issues. And then I was doing the jamba walk. I would do it until I felt a little soreness. I wanted that. I wanted a little inflammation, so I believed that those ligaments could start to heal and knit together again. It took a long time, but about a year. But eventually, as I got stronger, I was able to rock side to side and then hop across the mat side to side. And as I walked, bounce side to side, I began to work the hips, the thighs, and both sides of the knee. Eventually, I was able to do the ski patrol again. And then I could do the kickouts and the movements like this. And then the movements like this where you're coming down on the front of your knee. A year later, I was on Fox News talking about the benefits of Cellercise. And without thinking about it, I stuck my foot out, sat all the way down to the ground, and then stood all the way up again. And it didn't bother me. And I realized it's healed. It's fine. So I know what it is and what it feels like to have knee issues and knee problems. I also know what it is like to overcome them. And I know that that's a possibility and it's a potential. So just rocking side to side, the hip rock, I'm doing the movement like this, and then the jumbo walk. Those are all great exercises for strengthening the knee. Now, when my knee was strong enough, then what I did is I put my hands on a table, and this is what opens up the knee. This is what helped me to really develop the ability to go to a Walmart or to go down to the very bottom, grab something that somebody else missed and be able to stand up again without any problem. And that movement, being able to do that again, came from this routine. That's the only one that's currently not on the Mr. Rebounder app, but we will be putting it on there. And there's a couple ways of doing it, but I would put my hands on the table. Many of you have seen me do this. You could put it on the armchair of a couch if your Cellerciser is next to a couch. You bend over, leave your hands there. You just jump up, come down, up, down, just like that. Now when you start, you may only come down a little bit. And that's okay. You may even not even leave. You may just do this, and that's great. This is wonderful. As you get a little stronger, you might be able to bounce a little higher. But they're graduated movements until you can get to the point where you can move up and down. And that's all for the knees. One of the other movements that is on the Mr. Rebounder app, which is also very good, and it's in one of the routines on the app right now, is you can be watching television and you just sit down on the Cellerciser and stand up again, and sit down and then stand up. So you get this movement up and down that is going to help strengthen your knees as well. So those are some of the incredible movements that have been really, really helpful with people building up and strengthening their knees. Now, as I mentioned, if you have a weakness there, you're probably going to feel it. You will feel that some. And it may or may not work for everybody. But as we do this movement up and down, as the bones even rub against each other a little bit, the rubbing of those bones can actually cause the bones to, it's like a sweating of like a cartilage that starts to grow on the outside of the bone. And that can also help to alleviate the pain over time. So there's a lot of potential in the body. Those movements for the knees are fantastic. Maybe next time we will actually do the knee routine together, but I've held you up for a long time tonight. Thank you very much. If there's anything of value that I've shared, you want to share it with other people, please do so. Thank you so very much for your support and for helping to get word out and making a difference and being a difference in the lives of those that you love and care about. Thank you very much. Have a great week. We'll see you in a couple of weeks, and feel free to call me if I can be of any help. Thanks.